Ubisoft have been having a very rough time of it lately, and it feels like it is deserved because they've just gotten away guilt-free for the longest time with printing money despite a total lack of effort and soul in all of their games. For ages and ages, years and years, they melded all their IPs basically into one. You had Far Cry, Assassin's Creed, even others like Ghost Recon, Wildlands, I think it was, where it was just the same game over and over, zero creativity, but they were just hand over fist printing money. It was all going well for them, but it didn't feel right. It was like these games objectively just aren't very good anymore. You're just doing the same game, but you're bloating it every single time. It's like bigger is meant to be better, but by bigger, you just mean more busy work, low effort content. It's not like the stories got better, the gameplay mechanics improved. You just made them larger in terms of hour count in the game. Oh, great, Assassin's Creed Odyssey. It's the same thing as Origins, but you've just doubled the map size. You certainly didn't double the effort. It's just the same thing bloated, and you open up the map when you start the game, and rather than fun, you're thinking fun, all these things to do, you're just thinking dread. There's too much here. It's soulless. It's crap. It worked for ages. You felt crazy, like this company's making more money than ever. I think Valhalla was the biggest launch. It made so much money. It was during COVID and all that, but it still did really well, and many people were scratching their heads. How do they keep getting away with this? Then that stopped. Felt like overnight, maybe gamers woke up to an extent and just stopped buying their games, and it became the opposite. Everything was flopping. Star Wars Outlaws, they did some weird Avatar spin-off, which I think was just Avatar Far Cry Edition. That seemed to bomb. They released a whole bunch of games on Steam at once after swearing off it or doing everything possible to delay games from Steam releases for ages. Eventually they were rushing them to Steam, and they were still flopping on Steam itself. So nothing was working. Far Cry had declined. We had Assassin's Creed Shadows. That was a bit of a bomb compared to past entries. So it's all just been downhill, and kind of good to see. I think they needed this. I think every one of their IPs has kind of needed this. And I mean, if you do go back to 2010, that sort of time period where you did have Assassin's Creed 2, 3, Far Cry 2, 3, 4, and so on, back then at least they felt like their own series, not like now where it's just so safe to the point where everyone's just seen it before. That's why no one buys their games. It's like we had this. It's not fun to keep doing this over and over and over again just because your spreadsheets and metrics said that this works and people will buy this. At the end of the day, it is meant to be art to a degree. It's meant to be media for us to consume for reasons of having fun. And you can't really just spreadsheet all that. I don't think the human brain works quite the same way as them crunching the numbers. And this should work. We've put this all in place. You just need to keep getting the devs cracking the whip and having them produce the same game over and over. Let's make sure the next Far Cry is totally safe and totally boring, resembles like a live service chasing the dopamine hits around the map. Add more of that, it's going to be great. They did that for ages and it did work, but eventually we gamers did get sick of it and it's kind of over for them. So now they're in a bit of a panic. They do actually have to listen to the market. They can't just, forget the fans. Assassin's Creed Valhalla did incredibly well in 2022. Shadows will certainly be another blockbuster. I don't care what people are saying, but they were wrong. The internet's perception of that game and just that general feeling, that vibe of this isn't going to do well. It doesn't feel like something that's going to be a success. The internet was right. The executives, the people crunching the numbers at Ubisoft, ended up being totally wrong. And because they do have to listen now, that has led to them cancelling a game, apparently. There's been some report here where Ubisoft cancelled an Assassin's Creed game set in the post-Civil War era. And you'll never believe this, especially after all the Yusuke stuff and where things were headed with that team, Ubisoft in general, that this game that they cancelled, it featured a black assassin who was formerly a slave. And you're going back and you're fighting the emerging KKK. Leadership, though, cancelled this entry after concerns with US political climate and Yusuke backlash. Now, they say it was because of the US political climate, but I mean, a big part of it, obviously, is they sort of went down this road for Shadows, and it bombed. They became a laughingstock. Everyone was shitting on the game in a way they hadn't before. Like, for many years, people have considered Assassin's Creed just too safe, too lazy. There's people nostalgic about, like, the Ezio games. No longer, people just don't really care. But it was never really the target of ridicule in the same way that Shadows was. It was just kind of like something to ignore. I mean, Ubisoft do like the Just Dance series, and I think most people watching this don't care about the Just Dance games, but you're probably not going to ridicule it. There's nothing going on there where it becomes a target of laughter. You just don't buy it. Assassin's Creed was kind of that in a different way for a while. People were just kind of done. It was maybe not for us anymore. But with Shadows, it was a different story, because now it was an actual target of mockery. It wasn't just that casual game that normies pick up maybe every entry, just that sort of casual gamer who was probably thinking, there hasn't been one of these in like 3 years, really, since Valhalla. What's the new one like? What are people saying? Should I pick this up, or is it more fun? Well, rather than ignoring it, now it was kind of making headlines in the gaming space for being a joke. The problems in the game were being very much highlighted because people had a good reason to hate it. It's meant to be the Japanese samurai fantasy. Instead, it was Yusuke, who'd obviously been shoehorned in by activist developers. And then people were highlighting the other problems in the game, like it looks a decade old, the animations are pretty terrible, it's glitchy, it sucks, it's the same game design we've seen for 15 years from this series, it's never had any sort of revamp because the money people at Ubisoft don't think we need to change anything, because look what the spreadsheets are saying, it's all great, it's all fine, let's just keep doing the conveyor belt, let's never change and actually get creative. All the problems were getting highlighted, so Shadows bombed, it underperformed. That's what led to the whole Tencent. I think I saw the other day that Ubisoft have some new company name for the teams behind Assassin's Creed and Far Cry and whatever the other popular series that they have left are. There aren't many of them. So they are clearly in a bit of a panic. They are taking this seriously now. They can't rely on past work, past successes. They actually have to look forward and go, we need to change now. Every one of our series is bombing. We can't keep doing the same thing over and over again. And releasing this thing, this post-Civil War Assassin's Creed, black slave who's going to kill all the white people. That's what this is really about. It's not about the KKK or empowering the black slave. The people behind developing this game, realistically, their whole thought process is, let's kill the bad white people. And maybe let's even connect this to how the white people of today, these evil people who talk about video games and woke and everything, they're almost as bad as the KKK. We can just tie this all together. That's the kind of mindset of the people who are obviously developing this, because we saw it with their last entry. There's Zero World, because I've seen this argument about, this is sort of doing the rounds, where it's like, oh, these anti-woke grifters, these snowflakes who are anti-woke and getting upset. Because of them, our potentially great games that could be being made are blowing up in smoke. We're not getting them because of these sensitive people. They're saying stuff like that. This could have been a fantastic game and now we're not getting it. And gamers are the ones who lose because of this. Well, in a dream reality, in some sort of deluded world, that might be true, where we get a post-Civil War Assassin's Creed. It's made for the right reasons. It's actually interesting. It is sort of that post-war time, and maybe there's a lot of nuanced stories you could tell there about slavery, sure, but certainly other things in that time period. I'm actually one of the rare people out there who think Assassin's Creed 3 was actually pretty decent. For the time, I thought it was fun, I thought the story was interesting, the American Revolution, and some of the characters, the villains were quite well developed. Hatham, I think his name was, I thought that was all pretty cool, but it kind of bombed at the time. So it seems odd that they'd go back to that kind of setting, another American setting. The only reason that they would do it is because they're just picking up where they left off with Yusuke. It's just going to be more activism. It's not about the time period. It's not about telling an interesting story in the post-Civil War time. It's just, lecturing gamers again. It's saying that you're bad because you've got a problem because we're fighting the KKK. Clearly you're one of the bad guys as well. You're the 2025 version of the KKK. That's where this was headed if they actually went forward with this sort of game. You know, it would have just been crap. The people who were making it, nothing that is good here. It would have just been people taking sides, not because of the game's quality, but because of their own real-life political leanings. There would have been people saying, this is going to be the greatest game of all time. You know who those sorts of people are. And there would have been people sort of pointing out the problems. Maybe some of it slightly exaggerated, but they'd also kind of have a point that this is just another activist game. It's Assassin's Creed. It's just going to be more of the same old gameplay. It's probably going to be pretty shit, but it's not about the game. It's not about gaming. It's just about more of this activism. So Ubisoft were right to do this, to move on from this. It shows that they're kind of learning, hey, they need to actually listen to real gamers who are going to buy the game. That's really, when I say real gamer, it's literally just anyone who purchases video games. That's it. It's not, oh, I play these special games and these hardcore games. It's not even that, just people who buy the games, because we know how many of these people don't buy anything. The people upset, for the most part, with this cancellation, and whether that was in the concept stage or it was actually reasonably far along, I don't think it would have got out of a concept stage, really. I mean, come on, this sounds like just an activist's wet dream of a game, basically. It probably never left a real boardroom, and they were just brainstorming, and people who were upset that this got shot down have probably leaked this out. But really, the people who are upset about this not seeing the light of day, they're not buying these games anyway. They just get upset. We see it every single time with all the flops that happen. Despite these loud voices online who are saying how good all these games are, these Concords and so on, and they're nowhere to be seen when it comes time to actually pay up and support the game and support the devs who they apparently worship. They never buy anything. So really it's just another example of these game companies that once seemed kind of invincible, like they just kept growing, everything was great, it was happening with EA for a while, Activision for a while, Ubisoft for the longest time as well. It just seemed like they could do no wrong, and even though what they were releasing didn't seem to line up with what a lot of gamers who were at least talking about it, who were vocal about it, cared enough to speak on it, we kind of felt disappointed, the direction that a lot of these companies were going in. But according to the line, the money line, it wasn't stopping them there. Things weren't getting worse for them there. It was all growing. Like, no, Assassin's Creed's better than ever. Whatever EA's doing's getting better. Activision, every new Call of Duty release that starts to look embarrassing. Mentioned last time, like Beavis and Butthead showing up and every possible media tie-in, skin, integrity of the game. I mean, that was shot 20 years ago, but it's even worse now. There's probably fans from the days of early Black Ops, which was long after my time, who probably go, Call of Duty's jumped the shark now. Can we get back to the good old days of Black Ops? That's how many generations have played and enjoyed all of these different games. Now everyone's kind of on the same page with like, these games are just sucking. Is anything ever going to change? Well, it's starting to. EA is basically gone to some extent. Activision with Microsoft might as well be gone. They'll blow that into the dirt pretty quickly. That'll probably all be done with the way that they mismanage just about everything to do with gaming. And now Ubisoft as well. They had all the problems. They have to work with Tencent. They're cancelling Assassin's Creed games. They have to at least give the impression that they're listening to gamers. And they kind of do actually have to, or they're just going to keep having flops. This sort of crap isn't going to work. I hope that anyone involved with creating this is fired and moved on, because we know what their motivations really were. It wasn't good faith. It wasn't, we want to make post-Civil War Assassin's Creed. We just want to target the right people and we want to tie this into real life. That's what we're doing. Do something else, finally, and don't do World War II, because we know what they're going to do there as well. That was like a long requested period for Assassin's Creed, and me naively 10-15 years ago would have thought, oh, that could be interesting. How would they tackle that? Maybe it'll be like the Saboteur. That's a game that's kind of like Assassin's Creed, a long forgotten hidden gem. Could be interesting if Ubisoft do their version, but you know what's going to happen if they do World War II now. It's just going to be this sort of thing again. It's going to be the Yusuke thing all over again, where it's like, well, we can do a historical game about those villains in World War II, but there's the modern version of them now, and we'll make sure this ties together in our game, because that's our priority now. We need to be educating people on the evil modern horrors of the world, these modern-day Nazis. That's what we need to be focused on, not just making a fun game. So any of that just needs to go. Revamp this series. I haven't always hated it. I think they were actually doing some innovative things somewhat 15, 17 years ago with the series, and then they just lost the plot when they were printing money, being as lazy as possible. So if you get rid of everyone who's been there for like the last decade, maybe you can do something. Not holding my breath, but they've cancelled this, so we'll see where things go. And I did see this as well. This was from a little while ago, I think, but someone this super fan, I think it is, of Assassin's Creed was trying to remind everyone of, oh, everyone is celebrating this cancellation. Well, you need to take a good, long, hard look at yourself, because someone close to the devs told me months ago that the discourse has mentally affected them. And this is at Ubisoft. This is someone within one of the Assassin's Creed teams. So the discourse has mentally affected them to the point they're struggling with depression and relying on psychologists. I get that it's easy to laugh at Ubisoft because of the slop they've been putting out, but seeing actual regular devs and employees who are just following orders go through this, it's messed up. It's not even just Ubisoft, it goes for all gaming studios. Of course, the usual people in the replies and grifters are celebrating and mocking this, which is about what's expected from them. They see all 19,000 devs as one single thing that should be grouped together. It's like they're one entity. The thing is, they kind of are, though. That's been Ubisoft and many of these game studios, the Veilguard studio, BioWare, many others for the longest time, is they kind of are just one big hive mind. They all have to have the same opinion. They say to gamers, if you don't share our opinion, there's something wrong with you as well. They convince themselves that, oh, those toxic gamers, they're just some small minority, because me here at work, working on the Veilguard or working on the latest Assassin's Creed that's now been cancelled. I mean, me and all my colleagues here, we share the same mission, that we're not really here just to make a great game. We've got an opportunity to educate people into thinking like us, into the right direction, the right way of viewing the world. All my colleagues with blue, pink hair and a million nose rings, we all share this opinion, so must the majority. But they don't realise they're basically in a cult, they're in an entity, as this person claims isn't the case. Like, no, they're all individuals at these studios doing their own thing. Not really. These people don't seem to get the job unless they are insane, unless they share this worldview. It's been a problem I've mentioned a million times at all of these different dev studios in the West, it feels like. And realistically, unless you gut these teams, it's going to be that mindset. They're all going to think the same. You can fire a couple of people, but there'll be new ones who come in who are exactly the same as well. You do have to shrink this down. Just thinking about it, like these last few years, you see all those old photos of like the devs who made the original Doom and so on. And it's like back then, you see those photos, it's just passionate people making a game. And honestly, those people were just way more talented than you get now, because those people, it was a niche industry, you just wouldn't get into it unless you were genuinely interested in video games. There was nothing slightly cool about it. There's no clout for working at a game studio. Not that there is now or anything, but maybe in some of these just weird circles. Kind of is, because it's like you join the game studio and you're part of the identity group and you're one of them and so on. Again, it's just insane that they claim that, oh, these anti-woke grifters, they claim that everyone's the same. No, they're all so unique. They're just not. That is the problem that has been going on compared to the past. When games like the original Doom came out, you get into the 90s RPGs, the original Fallout, Baldur's Gate, and so on, all those great times. Back then, the developers were actually individuals with interesting ideas that were put into the game. That hasn't happened, and I do think part of it is Ubisoft's overall culture of how they make these games. When it is a conveyor belt, when there's no creativity, And it really is just a task. Every game is a task with the same handful of activities over and over again. Like, you look at the map of an Assassin's Creed game, it is the same activities. You do a main quest. Oh, there's task here, outpost, or liberate a group of people, or something like that. It's that a million times. There's never unique activities. There's never really any unique side quests that have their own unique gameplay in them like we had in older games. Hopefully that makes sense, but it used to be like that in older games, and they lost that with this conveyor belt mentality. And that's why you have people who are basically in a hive mind, and they don't care about the games. It's just about their identity group and pushing that onto the game. You see it here in more of these posts, where it's like Ubisoft has made psychology services available in several studios to address this problem. If you've got large numbers of team members who are coming to you with like, oh, they're criticizing the game, they're criticizing the product, I need psychological services. It's like, imagine that you worked for a fridge manufacturer and people were criticizing the fridges that were being made, and then you're rushing to the boss, I need mental health services, people don't like our products. Like, just shut up and make a better game, make a better product. This is ridiculous. If people have targeted you specifically and have found you, and I can understand that, but I don't think this is most of these people. I think for the most part, this is just insane people who work there who have internalized the criticism as being personal to me, and now I need my mental health and everything. No, you're just a weirdo who shouldn't be at the studio, and you should have been moved on and fired a long time ago, because this mindset is why the games are no good. I don't know how many employees are depressed. My friends have told me that they have always gotten along very well in the company. Among them, the DEI is normal because they are a multicultural team united by a common goal. There is no such thing as political agendas or conspiracies. That is the problem. You don't see it because you're part of the problem. You're a critical part of the problem. That's why there's nothing to see here. I mean, do you think that in these cults there are people wandering around? Are we a cult? No, we're not a cult. We're moving towards a common goal. This is fantastic. Everyone else is wrong. Not much self-awareness. It reminds me of Jason Schreier did this as well, where he did some sort of post-mortem of, was it Veilguard, or it would have been one of those games where he, at the end of it, he basically said, the conclusion is, all the managers are the problem, there's nothing wrong with the staff are incredible and want to make a great game, and any talk of DEI or anti-woke nonsense it's just grifters pushing that onto you to make you angry. And it's like, Jason, you are part of this problem because you think the activism that gets done, the developers as actual game developers second and activists first, you think it's a good mindset to have. You don't see that as being a problem, which is why when you do this great investigation work, you're basically going in with your conclusion already formed, which is, no, there's no way that these people who are just totally obsessed with self-inserting themselves into the game and focusing on their own identity issues, putting all of those into the game, and just forget the gameplay and innovation, actual creativity that pushes the medium forward, that all takes a back seat. He thinks that's a good thing. Many of these people think that's a great thing. They don't really care about the games, and that's why, oh, well, it's all the manager's fault. And it kind of is at the end of the day. The managers should be holding these people accountable, firing them all. I mean, you could have made a list, these people who are looking for psychology services. That's kind of done your job for you. Get rid of all of those people. Most of them at the very least. I doubt there were too many who were looking for that in good faith, but you just need to get them out. You have to clean the slate, start the culture fresh with people who just want to make games, and maybe that's impossible at this point. Maybe Ubisoft have just been so damaged and they've just run their reputation into the dirt that it's too late for them. But at the very least, it's a positive development to see this cancelled. Maybe they can do something else, anything else, and it will probably be better. And at the very least, it might be less enticing for the activists who've invested these studios. Maybe there'll be people who actually want to make a decent game, but I won't hold my breath when it comes to Ubisoft. And we'll leave it there. Thanks for listening. See you on the next one. Cheers. Bye.